Hey, Wilson,
Hi.
how are you, man?
Hey, good, Mr. Clooney. How are you?
I can't complain. We're all trapped inside, but other than that, we're doing fine.
I think I've seen a good majority of your films, and I go, Solaris, Gravity, and now this one. Where does the love for space come from?
Well, I do like the idea of infinity. I like the idea that we don't really understand how high up is. Everything we have in our life is finite, and space is not. And so I'm always fascinated by that, I think.
You know, so when you were putting this together, how much time goes into the research in terms of the story you're creating? It's not just about space. It's there's an emotional family story somewhat in there. There's a lot of themes and goals involved in this, but what is the challenge of mixing that all in?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to sort of learn how to shoot space, which is the hard part, and then you've got two really different storylines. One is on Earth, and one is up in space, and figuring out how much each needs to be addressed and when. And so it's a bit of a balancing act. Some of it you figure out in the script, and some of it you figure out in editing as you go. And it's a balancing act in general. As and most films are.
Yeah. Um, Obviously we can talk about the story and so forth, and I'm sure everybody else is going to talk to you different angles. So when you create your appearance in there, was it your intention to go with the full beard to say, "Hey, I've been here long enough. They're not going to recognize me."
I think, I just always feel like, when you see those guys who spent 2 and 3 and 5 years up in the Arctic, not one of them doesn't have a good sized beard, just to keep themselves warm, I think. And so that was always the intent with that. And then, shaving my head was more along the lines of getting to deal with the his illness and that kind of stuff.
I used to run a radio show called Soundtrack, and to know that you have Alexandre Desplat on this, and you worked with him a number of times, whether you directed a movie or you were a part of his film.
Yeah.
What went into choosing him and the music you wanted for this movie?
Well, he's my friend. I also happen to think he's the best composer working today. And I've done almost every film I've directed, I've used him. And then as you said, many other films from Argo to Syriana and going on that we've worked together. I just think he's a master storyteller with music. And, it's in a film like this, which has very little dialogue, and it is a meditation. The music is a character in it, and so you need someone who's able to tell a story with music.
hmm And before I let you go, obviously, it's not that often we're seeing you doing a film, two, three films a year. What goes into the projects you want to do, whether you're in front of the screen or behind the screen?
Well, in general, it's something that, if I'm directing it, it's something that I'm willing to spend the next year and a half working on. So it has to be something that I'm excited about. And then acting in it has to be something that gives me some interest, that I feel like I'm exploring and trying different things. It's no fun if you just keep repeating the kind of stuff you've done over and over again. So you're always trying to figure out different ways to go. I've been lucky that I've sort of not been overly successful at so many different genres that I'm allowed to keep trying them. I can do comedy because I've never been a huge comedy star, and then I can do drama because I haven't had a dramatic hits. So, you know,
Mhm. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Obviously, at some point or another, we'll see each other face to
in
face.
person, in real life,
You know, in the
yeah,
meantime, stay safe. Take
be
care.
safe too.